Jason Kidd had a couple of comments after the game. One of them was about my question earlier, the isolation versus the ball movement style that the Mavericks are trying to marry right now, because you can't just do exclusively one of them if you're the Mavs, right? You can't exclusively just do Luka isolating and Brunson isolating and whoever else, because eventually it wears down Luka, eventually it wears down Brunson. You can't get away with that for an entire game, or definitely an entire playoff series. The Mavs have tried. The Mavs have tried to do that. You can't get away with the ball movement stuff because you need Luka to get going. Luka is too good in the isolation stuff to not utilize it and to not take advantage of mismatches. But after the game, Jason Kidd was asked about, what did you see in this offense? What have you seen the Mavericks trying to do? And he said pace. Pace on the offensive end, and not just walking it up, pushing the ball and trying to move it, not even just in transition, but in the half court as well. And I thought that word pace on offense is something that he's been trying to instill in the Mavericks that I did see in this game.
Yeah, and getting to the basket. I mean, it feels like they're making a point. I know there's some numbers out there and stuff too that will show this, that Mavericks are getting to the basket, getting to the rim, more of these past few games than they have previously. So it's huge whenever they can do that, because then it opens up the outside. We just got Luka's just got it. There was a play tonight when he tried to drive past JaMychal Green, and I haven't seen a more obvious foul on someone trying to stop somebody from driving, and it was not called than that. Anyway, that's just random note there.
Yeah. So I think that the pace was something that we definitely saw in this game. We saw the Mavericks not just walking the ball up, not just trying to slow it down, isolate, find the mismatch, right? It's not as slow, so you can try to catch the defense off guard. I think that's something the Mavericks have tried, and they got some pretty good stuff out of it. The other thing that I thought was interesting, our friend Kevin Gray asked a question about Jason Kidd. What are you telling this team about weathering a storm right now? How are you instilling confidence in this team, even though they're going through this hardship, or whatever he said. And Jason Kidd said, I don't think there's a storm. I don't think they know there's a storm right now. These guys compete to win. And I found that comment really interesting, because it's not that he's oblivious, or that these players are oblivious to, okay, well, we're missing guys, because this Mavericks team is different every night these last couple of weeks, right? Somebody's out. Luka comes back. Luka's out for 10 games. Then he comes back in, and Porzingis is out the next night. And then Tim Hardaway and Bullock are back, and Burke goes out. And it seems like there's just cycling through these different guys. You could see it as a state of turmoil, and you could take it into your psyche. You could take it into your mentality of, all right, well, we should lose this game, or we should go in and feel bad for ourselves because, we're down bad and the guys are out and all this. He doesn't say it. He doesn't see it that way. We're seeing completely positive,
this is a positive world.
We're seeing completely positive world Kid in this, saying there's not a storm. We're not going through hardship right now. We are playing, and he said our favorite phrase, we're just playing basketball, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're just a basketball player.
Basketball players out there.
We're just playing basketball is our favorite Kid phrase so far. But he said it's not a storm. They're not looking at it that way. They're looking at, all right, next man up. You guys just come in. You play with who's around you. You play with who's available that night.
I love that. I love that from Kidd, in the sense of, I think when you bring attention to it, that's where it gets a little weird. It's like, hey, if you just us, how many times do we hear teams say, well, we just got to be who we are. We don't have to worry about what other teams are doing. We just got to be ourselves.
You know what it would be like? Okay, so I was out for the last, 4, 5, 6 podcasts, right? I was visiting family and I was out. If every single segment or every single break you said, I know we're without Nick, but thanks guys for listening to us. If you kept
struggling today, Nick's not
right,
here.
Yeah. If you kept bringing attention to it, then it would just make it seem like a bigger deal. Instead, what you did was awesome, and you rolled with it, and you're like, all right, this is our show. This is still the show, and you did a great job with the guests and the guys that you brought in and all that. And so I think that's what this Mavericks team is trying to do. They're trying to be you hosting the show. They're trying to do the best with what they got.
Cato, Marquise Chris.
And not even see it as he compared himself to Marvin Bagley, I think, in the episode. He didn't want to spend time in Sacramento. But to not even look at it as a storm, to not even look at it as, all right, we're going through a tough time right now, and just to say, let's just focus on what's in front of us and continue to compete, I thought was really interesting. And it gave us a little glimpse into what Kidd is trying to say to this team and how he's trying to, get them through this storm, even though he's not even considering it one.
even though it's not even a storm at all.
It's not a storm. It's not a storm.
This is a positive world.
There are no storms.